Viewer discretion is advised. In the United States, the illegal drug trade is estimated to be a $100 billion a year industry. From the drug dealers, to the drug addicts, to law enforcement officials who try to put a stop to it, we take you inside the American drug game. Another city on my route is Philadelphia. Philly has its own unique style and its own unique hustle. In Philly, I mostly have business professionals as my customers. I have blue-collar customers also, but they make up a small percentage of my clientele. My blue-collar customers are usually owners of small businesses. It could be a guy who owns a plumbing repair company to a guy who owns a car wash. Both types of my Philly customers are the type of people that don't want to buy drugs from some guy standing on a street corner. Philly is also a very big sports town. Days of the week, when there's a big game in town, my phone's ringing off the hook. Some of these people, they like to get high while watching a game on TV. Some of them like to get high before they go to the stadium to watch the game. There's been times I've gotten calls from customers who need more product because they used it all up in the parking lot tailgating before the game. I've made deals in the parking lots of these stadiums. My customers are very loyal to me. They know what kind of product they're getting when they're dealing with me. I have some customers that will drive 30 to 40 minutes out of their way just to buy from me because they know what they're going to get. But that's because my customers are not the type of drug addicts who would just walk up to some random dude on the street corner to buy drugs. I don't sell my product to strung out fiends who steal for a living to buy their drugs. These people, they work and they pay their bills. I don't know if there's such a thing as an honest drug addict, but if there was, it would be my customers. It would be these type of people. I have some of my customers who live in the surrounding suburbs of Philly. I also have some customers who live over the bridge in New Jersey. Some of my customers who live in Jersey work in Philadelphia. These people will often call me up when they're at work. I've met with some of my customers in some of these skyscrapers you see downtown. They would prefer to make a deal in the restroom at work than in the town they live in across the bridge in Jersey. Some of these people have families and they live what would be considered the typical all-American family life. But they have a drug habit they want to keep hidden in the shadows. Some of these people, they only do drugs during the week when they're at work. They want to keep their work and their drug habit separate from their personal life. Then, on the other hand, you have some people who only want to get high on the weekends. These are the customers who I'll meet in different parts of the city, or if they live in the outside of the city, I'll meet them wherever they are. These aren't the type of people who have trouble coming up with money to buy drugs. These people are doing well for themselves and they have money to burn. Some of my clients are the let's party on the weekends type. My other Philly clients are the I need to get high to do my job well type. It could be coke, pills, or weed. They have an addiction to these things, and they need to feed their addiction. Why they do these things is none of my business. My job is to supply them with what they need. I'll have times where I've met some of my clients downtown in some of these skyscrapers. If my customer has a coworker that needs something, they'll meet me with an envelope full of cash. I'm in the cash only business. None of these transactions can be tracked. If these transactions could be tracked, that would be problems I'd have with law enforcement. And I can't afford to have that. I need to be able to fly under the radar. I've had times where I've met a client in a parking garage, and they'll have the order that they need, and then they'll have multiple orders for other coworkers. These guys will run out and go to an ATM to get cash to give money to the guy that I sell to. It's just like if one person says they're going out somewhere for lunch, and then 5 other people give them money for him to pick up lunch for them too. The only difference is that the person isn't picking up lunch, they're picking up drugs. Most of the time these deals are pre-ordered. My clients meet me, I have the drugs they want, and they have the cash I need. But I'll often bring extra product, because my clients will have a coworker give them some cash to get something extra for them. If they have the money, I'll always be able to get them the product. I've had times where I've met up with one of my clients and they had brought extra cash that they had got from their boss. Most places you work, if your boss found out you were doing drugs, especially at work, you'd be fired. This particular client of mine actually had a boss who gave him money so that he could buy drugs for him.
I'm a former police officer who was assigned to the narcotics unit in the city of Philadelphia. My job was to arrest people for narcotics violations. I was assigned with the task of making drug arrests and then trying to flip these people into basically becoming snitches. The juveniles and the low-level drug dealers are the easier ones to pick up. These are the people that are at the low end of the drug food chain. These people were usually easier to flip than the high-level drug dealer, or the so-called high-end drug user. On a typical day, I would go out and work undercover. I would go out and try to buy drugs from what they call corner boys. These are the younger guys in the streets trying to work their way into a drug organization or into a neighborhood crew. These are the guys you see standing in front of liquor stores or standing on a street corner waiting for people to come up to them and buy drugs. The corner boys are not as selective with who they sell drugs to. Their goal is to hit a certain quota for the day. They need to earn a certain amount of money to earn the respect of the people that they work under. They're so focused on getting the money and hitting the quota, they don't even think or care who they're selling to. Plus, they're much younger and they don't have the street experience or the life experience to not get caught as much. I've made undercover buys off of kids as young as 11 years old. Some of these younger dealers, they're so blinded by the cash, they forget that there are cops out on the streets every day trying to arrest them. I'll often pull up leave the cash out in my hand, knowing that they'll see the cash and they'll let their guard down. That's when we swoop in and we make the arrest. These younger guys, they're easier to catch, but not as easy to flip. They know because they're juveniles, they're not going to be in as much trouble as they would be if they were an adult. And if it's their first time being arrested, they're probably going to only end up with some type of community service or some type of counseling session they'll have to go to. I would have days where we set up operations where I would pose as a John, trying to pick up prostitutes. I would pick up a prostitute and then we would arrest her for the prostitution charge. Often these girls would have warrants and didn't want to go to jail. So they would work with us in helping to arrest drug dealers. Anything to stay out of jail. They don't care so much about flipping on a drug dealer, especially a low-level drug dealer. They won't give up any of the high-level drug dealers because that could result in them being found dead in an alleyway somewhere. So after she sets up a drug deal with someone she buys from, we will take her to the predetermined location. The dealer shows up, and when he makes the sale, we arrest him for the drug distribution charge. The game is to always be trying to catch the bigger dealer. You want to always keep working your way up the ladder in the drug world. Today, you might only arrest some young dealer who's selling nickels and dimes. And then, after flipping a few people, you work your way up to arresting someone who's selling a lot of weight.
I was your typical corporate type. I worked in the city of Philadelphia. I worked in one of the many big buildings you see downtown. I had what seemed like the perfect life. I had the 6-figure salary job. I had the nice office. I drove an expensive car. Had the trophy wife and 3 kids. On the outside, everything seemed normal. But it was far from normal on the inside. I was introduced to popping pills from a coworker. We hung out a few times after work, and he got to talking to me about the pills he was taking. I decided to try some, and then one thing led to another. After just a few months, I find myself taking pills all the time. It was starting to destroy my life little by little. My home life was falling apart. My career was being affected by this. My boss at work realized what was going on. He pulled me aside one day and told me I needed to take some time off to get my life together. I was one of the lucky ones. I was able to go to rehab and get back on track before I lost everything It was very close to being completely over. My wife was on the verge of taking the kids and leaving. I finally just broke down one day and told her everything that was going on. She helped me through it, but without her help, I don't know if it could have been fixed. People think that they're just getting high just to have a good time, not realizing it could be the beginning of the end.
I've had times where some of my clients have brought so much cash, they bought all the product I had on me, even the extra stuff. I've had my people bring in more product because I ran out and had more deals to make. You have to be careful when you're moving around with that much cash. You get stopped by a cop and you've got tens of thousands of dollars on you, they're going to start asking questions. This business is about moving product and moving cash without being noticed.